This blonde girl was stepping into the hotel elevator late at night. But just a few minutes later, she completely vanished. The next morning, nearly 16 kilometers away from the hotel, her body was found, covered in horrific injuries. No clear trace, no witnesses, no camera ever captured her leaving the hotel. And then a man appeared, tall, silent, dragging a black suitcase behind him. When questioned, he was surprisingly cooperative, almost polite. But he was the key to the horrifying crime behind it all. This is a true crime case that happened in Miami, and it's going to send chills down your spine. Before we dive into the story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new true crime video. On the morning of February 21st, in an empty lot by the roadside, nearly 10 miles from downtown Miami, a utility worker was inspecting a power line when he suddenly stopped. Less than 100 meters from the roadside, hidden in the thick grass, lay the body of a woman, face down. No clothes, no movement. She looked dead. Police arrived at the scene immediately, but they found no form of identification. The only thing next to the victim was an old, worn-out blue blanket. No clear sign of who she was, no cameras, no witnesses. But then something no one expected happened. The victim, despite her body covered in injuries, her face swollen and unrecognizable, was still alive. She was rushed to the hospital that very night. Unable to speak due to her injuries, the girl could only write a few words on a piece of paper. Her name was Ina Badnitzka, 21 years old, from Ukraine, working for a cruise line in Miami. But instead of writing down a family member's name, she wrote the name and phone number of her personal lawyer. "I don't know anyone here. The only person I can trust is my lawyer." That was all Ina could say. After several days of intensive treatment, Ina slowly began to recover. But her memory was still a blur. The moments before and after the attack felt torn apart like shattered fragments. In bits and pieces, Ina recalled that the company had temporarily arranged for her to stay at the Miami Airport Regency Hotel. She needed some rest after suffering a minor injury to her arm while waiting to resume her job on the cruise ship. That evening, she had dinner with a friend in the Coconut Grove area. Later, she returned to the hotel by taxi, sometime after midnight. The last recorded footage of Ina shows her stepping into the hotel elevator. From that moment on, everything vanished from her memory. Her next memory is waking up in an empty lot at 8:30 in the morning, bruised, broken, and in a state of panic. She couldn't remember what had happened. She didn't know who attacked her. She had no idea how she even left the hotel. To assist the investigation, Ina agreed to undergo hypnotherapy. And during those sessions, fragments of terrifying memories began to surface. She remembered being dragged down a narrow staircase, then shoved into the back seat of a car. And then, the sound of a man's deranged laughter echoing in her ears. All that remained inside her was darkness, confusion, and overwhelming fear. To uncover what really happened to Ina, police began combing through the entire security camera system at the Miami Airport Regency Hotel. They discovered that Ina returned to the hotel at 3:40 a.m. She walked into the lobby, holding a small bag in her hand, and headed straight for the elevator. At exactly 3:41 a.m., Ina was captured on camera one last time, stepping into the elevator. After that, not a single camera showed her leaving the hotel. While reviewing the footage, one name began to stand out: George Perez, the night shift manager. The man with full access to the elevator system and master keys to every room. Security footage showed that at 2:16 a.m., before Ina entered the elevator, George had left the front desk, escorted her to her room, and didn't return for another 15 minutes. When questioned, George admitted he had been close to Ina, even saying, "I liked her." But he insisted he had nothing to do with the attack. Police collected a DNA sample from Ina's body and quickly tested it against George. The result, no match. Another suspect entered the picture, Peter Diolius, a close friend of Ina's. He voluntarily provided a DNA sample. But once again, the investigation hit a dead end. Because neither of them matched the DNA found on Ina, Two suspects had been ruled out. Ina couldn't remember who attacked her, and no footage ever showed her leaving the hotel. So who was the attacker? The investigation now took a completely new turn. At 5:28 a.m., a black man appeared on hotel surveillance, quietly leaving the building, dragging a large black suitcase behind him. But one detail caught the investigators' attention. As the man entered the elevator, one of the suitcase wheels got stuck between the floor and the door gap. He had to yank it hard to pull it free. Why would a suitcase be so heavy that it needed that much force? What was inside? From that footage, the team began analyzing every detail. The height of the elevator door, the handrail, the distance between floor tiles, all compared against the size of the suitcase seen in the video. The result sent chills down everyone's spine. A woman as petite as Ina, she could easily fit inside that suitcase. So was Ina inside that suitcase? Who was the man? And where did he take her while the entire hotel was still fast asleep? During a final review of all the surveillance footage, one seemingly insignificant detail changed the course of the entire investigation. The shirt worn by a man seen with the suspect had one word printed on it: Verado, a line of engines manufactured by Mercury Marine. Investigators immediately followed this lead, but Mercury Marine confirmed they had never booked any rooms at the hotel where the crime took place. However, the shirt had actually been issued to employees of Centerplate, a catering company that serves major events across the country. By tracking Centerplate's employee records, investigators discovered that the suspect had once worked a temporary job in New Orleans. And finally, they had a name: Mike Jones. When cross-checking the hotel's guest list at the time of the incident, police found someone named Michael Lee Jones had been staying there. He checked in exactly 1 week before the attack and checked out just hours after he was seen pulling the mysterious suitcase. From New Orleans, the trail led investigators all the way to Maryland, where Michael was living in a small apartment in the city of Frederick. When police knocked on his door, Michael showed no signs of panic. He was cooperative, polite, and willingly provided a DNA sample. But the truth was undeniable. The test results confirmed it. The semen recovered from Ina's body was a perfect match with Michael Lee Jones's DNA. At last, after months of chasing every tiny lead, the real perpetrator had been unmasked, confronted with the undeniable DNA evidence. Michael Lee Jones was arrested, but still, he denied every charge. When asked about the heavy suitcase, the one he had to yank out of the elevator, Michael calmly replied, "It was just books, shoes, and a game console." But when asked to name even a few of the books he claimed were inside, Michael couldn't answer. Despite the DNA match, there were no direct witnesses. And Ina, due to the severity of her injuries, couldn't clearly identify her attacker. Every piece of evidence was circumstantial. The result: Michael was sentenced to just 2 years in prison. The verdict shattered Ina. She couldn't believe that the man who had stuffed her into a suitcase and left her for dead in an empty lot would serve only 2 years behind bars. Feeling that justice had failed her, Ina made a bold decision. She filed a lawsuit against the hotel, believing its lack of security had played a part in her nightmare. A new legal battle had begun, but this time, Ina wasn't alone. After the first trial ended, Miami police decided to take one step further. They submitted Michael Lee Jones's DNA to the FBI's national database. Just a few days later, the system returned a result that stunned everyone. Michael's DNA matched 3 unsolved rape cases in New Orleans and Colorado. 3 victims, 3 separate assaults, all gave the same description: a tall black man wearing glasses. And even more chilling, Michael had been in all 3 cities at the exact time the attacks occurred. When shown a photo lineup, none of the victims hesitated. Each one pointed to the same man, Michael Lee Jones. This time, Michael couldn't deny it. The evidence was overwhelming, the witnesses were clear, and the crimes disturbingly similar. In 2009, Michael Lee Jones was officially sentenced to 24 years in prison for multiple counts of rape. The polite, friendly facade had finally crumbled, revealing the predator hiding behind the mask of an ordinary man. After all the pain, fear, and the long, exhausting fight for justice, Ina finally received a measure of compensation. She was awarded $300,000 in damages from the hotel and the security company, the very institutions that had failed to protect her on that fateful night. And the predator behind the friendly face, Michael Lee Jones, was finally brought to justice. He will spend the majority of his life behind bars. Ina's case isn't just a story about a crime, it's a story of resilience. A story of truth, revealed late, revealed painfully, but revealed nonetheless. What do you think about the verdict and Ina's journey? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next real-life crime story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.